Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of GenAI Vlog. Today we're gonna take a deep dive of this new functionality using AutoGen library from Microsoft. So today we're gonna build a retrieve chat agent, and we're gonna do a couple of basic question answering using that functionality. First things first, you want to install Chroma DB database and AutoGen. Chroma DB allow you to do retrieval-based generation to augment your chat capabilities, and the AutoGen is the AutoGen library from Microsoft that allows you to build large language model backed infrastructure. So with that being said, obviously get your API key. And then here a couple of things you want to install is Markdownify as well as PyPDF. Once that's installed, you want to use this couple of lines of code to import out functionality from AutoGen, and you should be able to be all set. You want to start with a config file that lists out API keys, models, things like that. And then you can then build your agents. So here, to make our lives easier, we're going to use sentence transformers, which allows us to download models from Hugging Face. Once that's all set, we're going to build two functions. The first thing is called assistant. This is a retrieval assistant agent. This is a basic agent from the AutoGen library, and it's essentially an API call with a certain config file. So once that's done, now we're going to build a second agent. Second agent is called the Retrieve User Proxy Agent. Now, the reason we need to build this agent is because we need to go into certain Markdown file online, and this is a live URL, right? So there's a functionality that scrape this URL, and then we're going to save the content along with whatever the embedding layers give us into a Chroma DB database, which is instructed by this line down here. So once again, this function essentially provide that retrieval augmented generation capability for us. So that is a second agent, which is why here we call it the reg proxy agent. So we have a basic agent called assistant. We have a little bit of advanced agent called the reg proxy agent, and now we are all set. Now, I personally find this capability very helpful because when I run projects, I usually have a GitHub repo with a README file, and that's a standard practice to list out what is the installation, what is the development, how to use it, how to set up virtual environment, how do you call the functions, things like that. So every GitHub package should have a thoroughly well-documented README file that is in the Markdown format. So the reason this is helpful is because this proxy agent actually scraped that for us and created the information that's needed for the RAG algorithm. So all you gotta do is pick any Markdown file on GitHub and click on raw, which gives you this kind of formality. And all you need to do is take that URL and then you're done, right? Copy that URL here and then create that agent and you're pretty much all set. So one caveat is this client is defined as Chroma DB persistent client, and that directory needs to be unique. If you run this lines of code in the same directory or same memory a couple of times, well, next time you need it, you need to define it as Chroma DB4, things like that. You just need to be a unique directory. So we run that lines of code, and then I can pick a topic that is introduced in this README file. For example, I have a function here called neural net regressor. So maybe that's something I'm interested in, right? So maybe I ask, how can I use a neural net regressor? And since the human input mode is set to always, this will allow me to interact with this agent. Now, if you don't want to interact with it, all you gotta do is set this to never, all large caps. So with that being said, let's run this lines of code. And then as you can see, it's gonna start generating something and say, hey, look, we got a couple of things here. Not sure if this is what you're interested in. And as you can see, this code is still running, right? Nothing has yet happened because it's waiting for me to enter input. So maybe I can say, what function should I call to run neural net regressor function? I hit enter, and then let's see what it pops out. It says, hey, you need to import this, and then you need to define as a model. Great, that is indeed what it says in the library. So great, that gives me the line to run my function. And now perhaps I also need data, right? So maybe I could say, what data do I need? Okay, and then it says to use neural net regressor, you will need input features X and corresponding target values Y to train the model. Ensure that your data is properly formatted and preprocessed before passing. before passing it to the neural net regressor. Now, for this sentence, someone might read it and got it immediately. Someone might read it and say, hey, maybe I need a bit more information. And that's okay, right? And I think that comes back to how well this README file is created. And if all those information is indeed in that README file, then this output here will be able to be more constructive. So once you finish the conversation, you say exit, and then this cell finishes running. Once that finishes running, you can then print out the chat history, just like that, and then you get a whole list of dictionary of content, question, answer, things like that. And then you can plot this back out on whatever user interface that you build, chatbot, copilot, you name it. With that being said, hopefully this video sheds some lights of how to build a RAG system using AutoGen library on any customized Markdown file that you want. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like.